This is the one bait that's going to carry you all the way through the winter into the spring. The jerkbait is probably, especially if in your area in the wintertime, is one of those baits that's always going to catch bass. And it really shines in this cold water because we're able to kind of mix in these quick darting actions of a jerk, but also work in really long pauses where these jerk baits are going to just sit there. And as we move from the winter into the spring and bass are chasing more and more bait fish, the jerk bait comes even more into play. So this is a really great time to pick up a jerk bait. So here are my favorites. First up, if you know me, you know I love Megabass, but specifically the Megabass Vision 110 and the Vision 110 Junior. The big thing with these jerk baits is out of the box, without changing anything, without changing the weights, these baits will suspend really well. They will just sit in that middle of that water column and not move, which is really important. But another one I really like, the Shimano World Minnow. The big thing with the Shimano one is in the head here, you can see there's a little bit of flickering. There's a piece of foil on springs that when you work this bait and then let it pause, that spring is going to keep flickering like a bait fish kind of breathing. And as we move into spring and that water gets a little dirtier from that rainwater and the bass need to really key in on a bait, the Jackall Re-Range really comes into play because the Jackall Re-Range comes as rattled. It's a lot louder of a jerkbait than the Vision 110 or even the Shimano jerkbait. And two off picks that I don't see people talk about, this is the Dual Hardcore Minnow. And as you can see, I got them on a crazy discount, $5 for this thing, but it fishes really great. And then also the Rapala Shadow Rap are great options. The Shadow Rap also comes in that smaller size. So now we talked about the baits, let's talk about the gear and fishing these. Especially in that colder winter water, your water is gonna be very clear. So I always recommend going to fluorocarbon. So 12-pound test, 10-pound test fluorocarbon is that range you want to be in, because the fluorocarbon is also going to help your bait kind of keep that middle of the water column level, but also the clearness is really nice. I usually fish my jerk baits on a medium power rod, something that has a fast action, so a little bit of bend, but not too much bend because you want your rod to be snappy. But once you catch that bass, because these jerk baits are so long, you want a rod that will bend with your bait so that if the bass tries to shake its head, it's not going to shake. So how do we fish a jerk bait in the winter? The big thing is we're just gonna cast our jerkbait out. You can either reel it down to get it down to depth or just start working it down. But what I like to do in the winter is jerk, and then let it sit, pull out my phone, scroll a few TikToks, really let that jerkbait sit. Like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, it'll depend on the day. But a lot of times these bass will see that jerkbait and they will come up for it and then just kind of look at it and then eat it, so that you, while you're waiting, you can jerk it again and you'll feel that weight on your bait. But the big thing to remember in the winter is letting this jerkbait sit. Letting that jerkbait sit for as long as possible between jerks is really important to make sure you have the most success in the winter. So right now is the time to be fishing a jerkbait. So what are you waiting for? Get out there.